South Africa, officially the Republic of South Africa, is the southernmost country in Africa. It is bounded to the south by 2,798 kilometers, 1,739 miles, of coastline that stretches along the South Atlantic and Indian Oceans, to the north by the neighboring countries of Namibia, Botswana, and Zimbabwe, and to the east and northeast by Mozambique and Eswatini. It also completely enclaves the country Lesotho. It is the southernmost country on the mainland of the Old World, and the second most populous country located entirely south of the equator, after Tanzania. South Africa is a biodiversity hotspot, with unique biomes, plant and animal life. With over 62 million people, the country is the world's 23rd most populous nation and covers an area of 1,221,037 square kilometers, 471,445 square miles. Pretoria is the administrative capital, while Cape Town, as the seat of parliament, is the legislative capital. Bloemfontein has traditionally been regarded as the judicial capital. The largest city, and site of highest court is Johannesburg. About 80% of the population are black South Africans. The remaining population consists of Africa's largest communities of European, white South Africans, Asian, Indian South Africans and Chinese South Africans, and multiracial, colored South Africans, ancestry. South Africa is a multi-ethnic society encompassing a wide variety of cultures, languages, and religions. Its pluralistic makeup is reflected in the Constitution's recognition of 12 official languages, the fourth highest number in the world. According to the 2011 census, the two most spoken first languages are Zulu, 22.7%, and Xhosa, 16%. The next two are of European origin, Afrikaans, 13.5%, developed from Dutch and serves as the first language of most colored and white South Africans. English, 9.6%, reflects the legacy of British colonialism and is commonly used in public and commercial life. South Africa is a middle power in international affairs. It maintains significant regional influence and is a member of both the Commonwealth of Nations and the G20. It is a developing country, ranking 109th on the Human Development Index, the 7th highest on the continent. South Africa is the only African nation to legislate same-sex marriage. It has been classified by the World Bank as a newly industrialized country and has the third largest economy and the most industrialized, technologically advanced economy in Africa overall, as well as the 39th largest economy in the world. South Africa has the most UNESCO World Heritage Sites in Africa. Since the end of apartheid, government accountability and quality of life have substantially improved. However, crime, poverty and inequality remain widespread, with about 40% of the total population being unemployed as of 2021, while some 60% of the population lived under the poverty line and a quarter under $2.15 a day. The name South Africa is derived from the country's geographic location at the southern tip of Africa. Upon formation, the country was named the Union of South Africa in English and Unie van Zuid-Afrika in Dutch, reflecting its origin from the unification of four formerly separate British colonies. Since 1961, the long formal name in English has been the Republic of South Africa and Republiek van Suid-Afrika in Afrikaans. Since 1994, the country has had an official name in each of its 12 official languages. South Africa is in southernmost Africa, with a coastline that stretches more than 2,500 kilometers 1,553 miles and along two oceans, the South Atlantic and the Indian. At 1,219,912 square kilometers 471,011 square miles, South Africa is the 24th largest country in the world. The interior of South Africa consists of a large, in most places almost flat plateau with an altitude of between 1,000 meters 3,300 feet and 2,100 meters 6,900 feet, highest in the east and sloping gently downwards towards the west and north, and slightly so to the south and southwest. This plateau is surrounded by the Great Escarpment whose eastern, and highest, stretch is known as the Drakensberg. Mafadai in the Drakensberg at 3,450 meters 11,320 feet is the highest peak. The KwaZulu-Natal, Lesotho international border is formed by the highest portion of the Great Escarpment which reaches an altitude of over 3,000 meters 9,800 feet. Numerous mammals are found in the bushveld including lions, African leopards, South African cheetahs, southern white rhinos, blue wildebeest, kudus, impalas, hyenas, hippopotamuses, and South African giraffes. A significant extent of the bushveld exists in the northeast including Kruger National Park and the Sabi Sand Game Reserve, as well as in the far north in the Waterberg Biosphere. South Africa houses many endemic species, among them the critically endangered riverine rabbit in the Karoo. South Africa is a nation of about 62 million, as of 2022, people of diverse origins, cultures, languages, and religions. South Africa is home to an estimated 5 million illegal immigrants, including some 3 million Zimbabweans. A series of anti-immigrant riots occurred beginning in May 2008. South Africa has 12 official languages: Zulu, Xhosa, Afrikaans, English, Pedi, Tswana, Southern Sotho, Xitsonga, Swazi, Venda, and Southern Ndebele, in order of first language speakers, as well as South African Sign Language which was recognized as an official language in 2023. In this regard it is fourth only to Bolivia, India, and Zimbabwe in number. While all the languages are formally equal, some languages are spoken more than others. According to the 2022 census, the three most spoken first languages are Zulu, 24.4%, Xhosa, 16.6%, and Afrikaans, 10.6%. Although English is recognized as the language of commerce and science, it is only the fifth most common home language, that of only 8.7% of South Africans in 2022. Nevertheless, it has become the de facto lingua franca of the nation. The adult literacy rate in 2007 was 88.7%. South Africa has a three-tier system of education starting with primary school, followed by high school, and tertiary education in the form of academic universities and universities of technology. Learners have 12 years of formal schooling, from grade 1 to 12. Grade R, or grade 0, is a pre-primary foundation year. Primary schools span the first 7 years of schooling. High school education spans a further 5 years. The National Senior Certificate Examination takes place at the end of grade 12 and is necessary for tertiary studies at a South African university. Public universities are divided into three types: traditional universities, which offer theoretically oriented university degrees; universities of technology, formerly called technikons, which offer vocationally oriented diplomas and degrees; and comprehensive universities, which offer both types of qualification. There are 23 public universities in South Africa, 11 traditional universities, 6 universities of technology, and 6 comprehensive universities. Under apartheid, schools for black people were subject to discrimination through inadequate funding and a separate syllabus called Bantu education which only taught skills sufficient to work as laborers. In 2004, South Africa started reforming its tertiary education system, merging and incorporating small universities into larger institutions, and renaming all tertiary education institutions university. By 2015, 1.4 million students in higher education have been aided by a financial aid scheme which was promulgated in 1999. According to the South African Institute of Race Relations, the life expectancy in 2009 was 71 years for a white South African and 48 years for a black South African. The three dominant hospital groups, Mediclinic, Life Healthcare, and Netcare, together control 75% of the private hospital market. South Africa is a parliamentary republic, but unlike most such republics, the president is both head of state and head of government and depends for his tenure on the confidence of parliament. The executive, legislature, and judiciary are all subject to the supremacy of the Constitution of South Africa, and the superior courts have the power to strike down executive actions and acts of parliament if they are unconstitutional. The National Assembly, the lower house of parliament, consists of 400 members and is elected every 5 years by a system of party list proportional representation. The National Council of Provinces, the upper house, consists of 90 members, with each of the 9 provincial legislatures electing 10 members. South Africa has no legally defined capital city. The 4th chapter of the Constitution states the seat of Parliament is Cape Town, but an Act of Parliament enacted in accordance with Section 76, 1, and 5, may determine that the seat of Parliament is elsewhere. The country's 3 branches of government are split over different cities. Cape Town, as the seat of Parliament, is the legislative capital. Pretoria, as the seat of the President and Cabinet, is the administrative capital, and Bloemfontein is the seat of the Supreme Court of Appeal, and has traditionally been regarded as the judicial capital, although the highest court, the Constitutional Court of South Africa, has been based in Johannesburg since 1994. Most foreign embassies are located in Pretoria. Since 2004, South Africa has had many thousands of popular protests, some violent, making it, according to one academic, the most protest-rich country in the world. There have been numerous incidents of political repression as well as threats of future repression in violation of the Constitution, leading some analysts and civil society organizations to conclude that there is or could be a new climate of political repression. The South African defense industry is the most advanced on the African continent and one of the most advanced in the world. As of 2020, South Africa is the world's 24th largest arms exporter, the only nation in Africa. The nation designs many types of weapons that range from armored fighting vehicles to ballistic missiles. Notable South African-made weapons include the Radel IFV, the world's first wheeled infantry fighting vehicle. South Africa also made its own attack helicopter known as the Ruivik, which is known to be one of the most advanced attack helicopters in the world. In recent years, $16 billion, $1 billion, contract was signed with the local defense industry, which aims to produce 244 units of Badger IFV for the SANDF. South Africa is the only African country to have successfully developed nuclear weapons. South Africa has the world's largest private security industry, with over 10,380 private security companies and 2.5 million private security personnel, of which over 556,000 are active, making it bigger than the South African police force and military combined. Private security mainly provide assistance to the South African Police Service, SAPS, to combat crime throughout the country. Over the years there has been tremendous growth in the private security industry. Each of the 9 provinces is governed by a unicameral legislature, which is elected every 5 years by party list proportional representation. The legislature elects a premier as head of government, and the premier appoints an executive council as a provincial cabinet. The powers of provincial governments are limited to topics listed in the Constitution. These topics include such fields as health, education, public housing, and transport. The provinces are in turn divided into 52 districts, 8 metropolitan and 44 district municipalities. The district municipalities are further subdivided into 205 local municipalities. The metropolitan municipalities, which govern the largest urban agglomerations, perform the functions of both district and local municipalities. South Africa has a mixed economy. South Africa's economy is the most industrialized and technologically advanced in Africa respectively. It has the second largest economy in Africa, after Nigeria, and the 39th largest in the world. South Africa is ranked 40th by total wealth, making it the second wealthiest country in Africa. In terms of private wealth, South Africa has a private wealth of $651 billion, making South Africa's population the richest in Africa, followed by Egypt with $307 billion and Nigeria with $228 billion. South Africa offers both domestic and international tourists a wide variety of options, among others the picturesque natural landscape and game reserves, diverse cultural heritage and highly regarded wines. Some of the most popular destinations include several national parks, such as the expansive Kruger National Park in the north of the country, the coastlines and beaches of the KwaZulu-Natal and Western Cape provinces, and the major cities like Cape Town, Johannesburg, and Durban. South Africa has a total road network of 750,000 kilometers, the largest of any African country and the 10th largest in the world. Rail transport in South Africa is an important element of the country's transport infrastructure. All major cities are connected by rail. South Africa has international airports in 6 cities: Johannesburg, Cape Town, Durban, Port Elizabeth, Kimberley, and Nelspruit. As of 2021, South Africa had 407 airports, making it the leading country in Africa in terms of airport ownership and the country ranked 20th globally. The 4 major airports in South Africa are, OR Tambo International Airport in Johannesburg, Cape Town International Airport, King Shaka International Airport in Durban and Chief David Stuurman International Airport in Port Elizabeth. OR Tambo International Airport in Johannesburg is Africa's largest and busiest airport, which receives over 21 million passengers a year. During the 2022 Skytrax World Airport Awards, Cape Town International Airport was voted the best airport on the African continent for the 7th consecutive year. Durban's King Shaka International Airport was voted the second best in Africa, and Johannesburg's OR Tambo International Airport came third place. South Africa has a very large energy sector and is currently the only country on the African continent that possesses a nuclear power plant. The country is the largest producer of electricity on the African continent and it ranks 21st globally. South Africa is the 7th largest coal producer in the world and produces in excess of 248 million tons of coal and consumes almost 3/4 of that domestically. South Africa is also the world's 14th largest emitter of greenhouse gases. The country's primary electricity generator is Eskom. The utility is the largest producer of electricity in Africa, and is among the top 7 utilities in the world in terms of generation capacity and among the top 9 in terms of sales. Modes of transport include roads, railways, airports, water, and pipelines for petroleum oil. The majority of people in South Africa use informal minibus taxis as their main mode of transport. The South African media sector is large, and South Africa is one of Africa's major media centers. While the many broadcasters and publications reflect the diversity of the population as a whole, the most commonly used language is English. However, all 10 other official languages are represented to some extent or another. There is great diversity in South African music. Black musicians have developed unique styles called Kwaito and Amapiano, that is said to have taken over radio, television, and magazines. Of note is Brenda Fassie, who launched to fame with her song Weekend Special, which was sung in English. More famous traditional musicians include Ladysmith Black Mambazo, while the Soweto String Quartet performs classical music with an African flavor. South Africa has produced world-famous jazz musicians, notably Hugh Masekela, Jonas Gwangwe, Abdullah Ibrahim, Miriam Makeba, Jonathan Butler, Chris McGregor, and Sathima Bea Benjamin. Afrikaans music covers multiple genres, such as the contemporary Steve Hofmeyer, the punk rock band Fokafpala Seeker, and the singer-songwriter Jeremy Loops. South African popular musicians that have found international success include Manfred Mann, Johnny Clegg, rap-rave duo Die Antwoord, rock band Seether, and rappers such as aka Nasty C and Casper Nyovest gained notoriety in other avenues like the BET Awards for Best African Acts. The cuisine of South Africa is diverse, and foods from many different cultures and backgrounds are enjoyed by all communities, and especially marketed to tourists who wish to sample the large variety available. South Africa's most popular sports are association football, rugby union, and cricket. Other sports with significant support are swimming, athletics, golf, boxing, tennis, rugby league, ringball, field hockey, surfing and netball. Although football, soccer, commands the greatest following among the youth. Other sports like basketball, judo, softball, and skateboarding are becoming increasingly popular amongst the populace. Association football is the most popular sport in South Africa. Footballers who have played for major foreign clubs include Stephen Pienaar, Lucas Radebe, Philemon Masinga, Benny McCarthy, Aaron Mokoena, and Delrone Buckley. South Africa hosted the 2010 FIFA World Cup, and FIFA President Sepp Blatter awarded South Africa a grade 9 out of 10 for successfully hosting the event. Player Benny McCarthy is also a first-team coach for the English football club Manchester United. It hosted the 1996 African Cup of Nations, with the national team Bafana going on to win the tournament. In 2022, the women's team also won the Women's Africa Cup of Nations, beating Morocco 2-1 in the final. The women's team went on to reach the last 16 at the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup, beating Italy and tying with Argentina in the group stage. South Africa has won the Rugby World Cup 4 times, the most wins of any country. South Africa first won the 1995 Rugby World Cup, which it hosted. They went on to win the tournament again in 2007, 2019 and 2023. Cricket is one of the most played sports in South Africa. It has hosted the 2003 Cricket World Cup, the 2007 World T20 Championship. South Africa's national cricket team, the Proteas, have also won the inaugural edition of the 1998 ICC Knockout Trophy by defeating West Indies in the final. The 2023 ICC Women's T20 World Cup was hosted in South Africa and the women's team came in second place. South Africa's national blind cricket team also went on to win the inaugural edition of the Blind Cricket World Cup in 1998. Thank you for watching this video.